Anne Riddell, and welcome to Arts in the City. We've got a great show in store for you today, and we kick things off with art and the environment. April is Earth Month. Susan Junn introduces us to some award-winning artists shining a creative light on green energy.
Using wind turbine power to create green energy, this colorful kinetic sculpture represents a tree rooted in the seeds of change.
When they see my tree, I want them to feel the saving the earth or using the green energy can be fun.
The Giving Tree sculpture is the creation of Queens College graduate Haksul Lee, one of two artists selected to create installations in Flushing Meadows Corona Park under the Art in the Parks grant awarded by the Alliance for Flushing Meadows Corona Park and the New York City Parks Department.
I was looking into different types of engineering to produce green energy.
Energy that comes from natural resources like the wind and sun, which don't emit greenhouse gas, thereby reducing air pollution. An engineering concept and an artist in design, Lee named his sculpture after the famous book, The Giving Tree, drawing a parallel between the self-sacrificing relationship between nature and man. Mostly made from recycled materials, Lee's sculpture uses natural energy from wind turbine to generate electricity that lights up bulbs on the tree, turning it into a street light at night.
The Giving Tree gives light to the park, and it also gives you a charge to your phone.
There are 3 stations with each station have 2 USB output, and then you can just use your phone charger.
Lee says by using natural resources to produce and give away free electricity, he hopes his audience will consider the benefits of eco-friendly behavior. Across the park is another green energy installation created by the other recipient of the Art in the Parks grant, artist Sherwin Banfield. Titled Going Back to the Meadows, a tribute to LL Cool J and performance at FMCP, the piece features an 8-foot-high bronze bust of hip-hop legend LL Cool J that sits on top of a sculpture of a radio that runs an audio playlist through solar-powered speakers. By implementing nature into their installations, these artists help to put a spotlight on the economic and environmental benefits of green energy.
There are a lot of lost energy or wasted energy every corner of our life.
These electric installations will be on display in Flushing Meadows Corona Park through November. For Arts in the City, I'm Susan Junn.
Award-winning actress Tovah Feldshuh has done it all, from Broadway to television and the big screen. Now she's also an author. We chatted about her recent memoir, a book that had me both laughing and crying. Your memoir, Lilyville, it's largely the story of your relationship with your mom.
Correct.
Why did you choose to write about that part of your life?
I said, what can I write about that hits the river of universal experience? I said, instead of writing about my life and my career, I can write about my life as seen through the eyes of my mother and her life as seen through my eyes. And there's a 40-year gap in our ages, so we didn't have a generation gap, we had a generation chasm. And what saved our relationship and made it exquisite is that she lived long enough for us to solve everything. And I have such gratitude for both my parents. And I thought, well, this is an angle that could apply to any child of any parent. And all of us who are walking the earth at the moment, we all had parents.
Yep.
So this was my path in, hoping that you, Carol Ann, could relate to it.
And I did.
Good.
And I did.
Good.
And I think that my mother would.
Yes.
It seems that you felt for a lot of years as a young person that her love was conditional to some degree.
I would say so. But more importantly, as I grew older, I realized that that conditionality was built on fear. Fear that I wouldn't fit in. Fear that I wouldn't make a good match, let's say. You know, when I married a Harvard lawyer, and my father is a Harvard lawyer, my mother opened up plenty. She said, oh my God, this child is safe. She's chosen the right husband. And on my wedding day, at the Plaza, I probably mentioned this in the book, and my career was spinning out of control. I had just done, I was about to do the Holocaust miniseries. I'd just done Yentl. I'd gotten 5 awards on Broadway. And she said, Tovah, you can do whatever you want now. And I thought she was going to say movies. She said, you're marrying a Harvard lawyer. And that is how she estimated my value in her vision.
Tovah, what would you say is the best piece of advice your mom ever gave you? The one go-to?
You want to know how to have a successful marriage? I'll show you how to have a successful marriage. Just shut one eye. So the other piece of advice, which really was great, she says, if you're in love with a boy, don't walk, run to his house. And if his parents and the home does not feel like a warm bath, it's a red flag.
Tovah, I have to mention that I'm a big Walking Dead fan, and so I just loved you in that show. You were tough as nails. But what struck me was that when you were originally asked to audition for the show, you didn't even know it, right?
Not only did I not know it, as I said to Scott Gimple, I'm close enough to death that I don't have to watch I don't have to watch it walking.
But you loved that show, right?
I loved that show. These artists were serious. As Ruth Gordon said to me, you think it's hard to get there? Try to stay up there. And that's what Walking Dead did. Walking Dead was already the #1 cable show on the planet Earth.
Hugely popular.
And they shot every episode as if it were a feature. They were dedicated.
And my crazy ex-girlfriend, I just have to mention, because, oh my gosh, the song, Where's the Bathroom? 5 pages, was it?
Yeah, it was 5 pages. What happens is, talk about disappointed expectations. I'm just about to play a mother with that. Her daughter, who went to Yale and then Harvard Law School and was on her path to become a partner in a big law firm in New York, instead she falls in love with an unemployed Asian skateboarder. So the mother comes in to check on her baby, and you expect the mother to say, hello, sweetheart, how are you? Instead she says, where's the bathroom? Where's the bathroom? I need to use your bathroom. Tell me that you have a bathroom in this hovel. You go home.
I don't know which was bumpy, or the plane ride, or the taxi. All these freeways are a nightmare. Where's my purse? I need my phone.
I so enjoyed the book, Tovah, and I just have a final question for you about it. What do you think your mom would have said about this book?
Wow. She would have said, Tovah. She probably would have said, Tovah, where'd you get all these stories? You're just making this up? She'd probably say that. And then eventually say, well, thank you. At least I'm immortalized. And really, when I think of the underlying psychological reasons, why did I write Lilyville? It was to make my mother ubiquitous, to make my mother create the mother throughout the universe.
When the pandemic struck, costume designers found their livelihood devastated, but collective creativity rose to the challenge. This next piece, produced by Lehman College and the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, shows how the industry stitched together to survive.
You know the dresses and the suits you saw in Hamilton?
The beautiful costumes you saw at American Ballet Theater.
The clothes for Lola for Kinky Boots.
Somebody
made those costumes.
We're talking theater, dance,
film, television,
theme park,
opera, concerts, special events. We're everywhere.
Despite that, we're not in the spotlight, and many people don't know who we are.
In March of 2020, suddenly Broadway was shuttered. We thought only for a few weeks. It's now been a long time. And the ecosystem of the costume shop was threatened with never returning.
Initially, it was, what will we do collectively, and how can we work together to be a presence?
So in May of 2020, my partner and I, John Christensen, started reaching out to our colleagues, and we started putting together the coalition so we could figure out a way to survive. We spend millions of dollars on supplies in the historic garment district every year. The arts themselves are an economic driver. It's a huge ecology that includes not only like a maker, but a pleater or a painter or dyer, the ones who feed us with the fabrics or whatever we need. If part of our ecosystem goes down, we're gonna have big issues with supply chain and just keeping everything afloat when everyone wants to come back.
Those of us in the Costume Industry Coalition collectively employ over 500 people who are experts and artisans.
We need people to know who makes the clothes, that the majority of people are Asian, people of color, Hispanics, immigrants. They need to know that. They need to be aware of what we do.
The Costume Coalition has made us more present. The fact that we're speaking to you means that more people in the city and in city government and more producers know who we are. People who never even knew we existed are aware of us now.
In the future, the costume industry may still be fighting for the spotlight, but we'll be doing it together.
From a galaxy far away, right to our hometown. If you love Star Wars, we've got a preview of an exhibit you won't want to miss. It's called The Fans Strike Back, and it arrives in time for National Star Wars Day. Posters mean a lot to people, capturing a moment in time or a favorite memory. Whether it was Bon Jovi in your bedroom or a beloved Broadway show, posters can pack an emotional punch. Donna Hanover learned that firsthand.
People love posters. Your favorite band, Broadway show, movie, or fight is portrayed in a flash. A good poster has a strong, quick punch.
A great poster is the marriage of word and image, and it has to communicate to its viewer in under a second to be successful.
Angelina Lippert is the chief curator of Poster House in New York, which opened in 2019. There are several poster museums around the world, but this is the only one in the U.S.
So posters are kind of in between art and commerce. They are a public-facing notice meant to persuade. So that could be to sell a product, to convince you to go to an event, or to convince you to change your mind about an idea.
Some posters are always up because they're a timeline of great moments in Western graphic design. Jules Charest is huge in poster history.
Prior to the 1870s, posters were actually broadsides, so text-based announcements with maybe a tip-on, so a small image on them. When Jules Charest perfected the art of color lithography, he found a way to replicate large-scale imagery for the first time in full color, quickly and cheaply, and that was very important. But what you see behind me is a progressive proof. So it's all the different colors printed via stone lithography, and this is a test print, essentially. So the printer would only have made one, and the fact that it survives is a miracle.
Next up,
it's by Leonardo Cappiello, the father of modern advertising, and it's for Chocolate Klaus, except you don't see a chocolate bar in the poster. And this is the moment when Cappiello figures out that you don't need to show the product to sell it. People were so enamored by this image of a woman on a red horse that they were like, oh, can you get me that chocolate bar, you know, the lady on the red horse.
What does this represent?
This is from the Art Deco period, so the 1920s, specifically 1926, and it's by Marcello Nizzoli. And Campari was such a prolific producer of posters that we wanted to include it in the timeline.
In the 1960s came psychedelic rock and roll.
And psychedelic posters had a really short like lifespan. They only lasted for a few years at the end of the 1960s, but they are some of the most famous posters today. This one over here you might recognize if you like the movie Almost Famous. This inspired that movie poster. It's by Victor Moscoso, and it's for the Chambers Brothers. Behind me is a poster by Paula Scher. She kind of reinvented how theatrical posters worked in New York. She made them really vibrant, she made them really exciting. Before Paula Scher started doing ads for the public theater posters were basically like image of what's happening, text. She made them dynamic and aggressive and really compelling, and she still does their posters today.
Special exhibits that change every few months have shown the work of Leroy Neiman, Peter Max, and Pushpin Studios. What makes a poster valuable?
The original run is what is important. So if they are all printed today, that is the run that's important. If they're printed tomorrow, that is no longer part of the original run. It matters how many survive. So if maybe 7 copies of the one behind me survives, those are the ones that people collect. They're rare, they're important.
Poster House also gives visitors a chance to put themselves into a famous poster. Let's see. I've always admired Rosie the Riveter. And Colin Brady is the director of operations here. So what do we do?
Basically, you just stand into the frame, so a little bit to the side, get your bicep up like Rosie. And once we have the image, we can adjust it just to get you right up in there, and there you go.
The Poster House website is starting to make many posters they've displayed searchable, so you can often find your favorite. I'm Donna Hanover for Arts in the City.
With spring weather upon us, New Yorkers are getting out and about. Photographer Laura Fuchs hit the streets with her camera and found people shedding their jackets and their masks. A dashing hat can really make an outfit. Now, our very dapper Mike Gilliam takes us downtown for the art of hat making.
It's one of my favorite places in the neighborhood.
Bettina, a longtime customer, is talking about East Village Hats, a cool shop on East 7th Street where owner Julia Knox has an incredible selection.
We make literally every kind of hat, from our felt menswear, fedoras, pork pies, to casual hats for women and amazing dramatic creations.
They'll even make custom-designed hats for their clients right on the premises, and it all comes with a personal touch.
So what I'm going to suggest is something beautifully shallow, like this.
Julia was trained as a milliner at Fashion Institute of Technology. She joined Barbara Feynman Millinery in 2012 and took over the business when it moved from a few doors down the street to the current location in 2016.
So I studied fashion originally, but when I came to New York, I took hat making classes, and I just love how egalitarian hat making is.
So, what makes the perfect hat?
When you're coming in and choosing a hat, there's a lot of aspects to think about. What's the hat for, and what does it need to go with, and how do you need it to fit with your face, your wardrobe.
But there are lots of styles to consider, from sun hats to the dramatic, to fun hats like this. To 1920s hats and the styles women will be wearing for this year's Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby is all about color and all about drama. And so this is like a 1950s Dior shape. And they're called profile hats because they frame your profile so beautifully from both sides.
The hats are 100% handmade and cost about $300. Felt hats start with a cone shape. They use steam to mold the hat, and they cut it into the style. The workhorse of the shop is this vintage sewing machine from the Industrial Revolution.
It's a refurb machine from 1890, so it's 130 years old, and it's just indestructible.
Creations from the shop are popping up everywhere.
We've been doing a lot of TV work recently, so you can catch my hats on HBO in The Deuce and on FX in Pose, which was great fun, lots of really dramatic pieces. And I've got a TV show coming up that I'm super excited about.
Alicia Keys, Helen Mirren, Sean Lennon, and Madonna are all on board.
Her stylist came and pulled a load of hats out, and not only did she purchase 3 of them, but she wore one for the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
But there's more. In addition to creating all types of hats for her clients, Julia also offers hat-making classes right here in the store.
I'll teach you how to make fedoras, I'll teach you how to make a sun hat or a turban or a fascinator. But on top of that, I really enjoy inviting teachers from all around the world to come and teach specialist skills.
So, if you're looking to get a new hat or maybe even make your own, Julia says come and see her. In the East Village, I'm Mike Gilliam for Arts in the City.
Now to an artist with an unusual choice of canvas. His body of work is on bodies. Here's Maria Vami.
When I think of body painting, I see all of the energy that a person has, and it just sort of floats out, and it's like so easy to find artistic inspiration.
Andy Golub's human canvases are completely improvised and can take up to 6 hours. Models do get up and stretch several times. Andy has painted on all kinds of surfaces, going from murals, wood, cars, but bodies was a canvas like no other. We met with him and model Lee and Joy at his Brooklyn studio.
You don't have like this flat canvas, so you're sort of saying, well, how do I deal with this curve, you know? And if you just kind of go at it with like an open mind, images will just pop into my mind very easily. And then I used to have it where like the first image that I'd see would be the one I would paint, but then I realized after a while that if I just keep looking, I'll see another image and another image. And in some ways, maybe, I don't know if this makes much sense or not, but in some ways, like I have this understanding that I really can't make mistakes.
Andy is also considered to be one of the first street art body painters and a pioneer who challenged public nudity laws in New York City.
I really think that art is really something that's very experiential. And I like the idea of art not really being sold so that it could sit in someone's living room, even though I understand people can really enjoy having art in their living room.
Andy was arrested in 2017, but won his case, which led to legalizing public nudity for the sake of art.
Really what it does is it sort of exposes each of us to ourselves in a way. The idea of just the simple truth of a body being there without shame. There are times when people have seen the painting outdoors and got aggressive, and I never got offended by that. I always found like, wow, there must be some real things going on inside this person that is getting triggered.
Next stop for Andy, theatrical production.
Taking a lot of things that we think of in just really normal drama or entertainment and present it in a way where the characters are nude and really just show how the socialization process has impacted our way of really seeing the world.
For Arts in the City, I'm Maria Vami.
That is our show for today. Thanks so much for joining us. Quick reminder to check us out on social media. We would love to hear from you. I'm Anne Riddell. See you next time on Arts in the City.